right, ready for this? We're diving deep into one of the biggest wins in medicine ever, the eradication of smallpox. You sent over this text detailing the whole story of it. And wow, it's intense. Talk about a journey from ancient plagues straight to like a total global victory.
It really shows you how much we've learned, right? Like how to actually fight back against these infectious diseases. Smallpox, I mean, it was terrifying, a real force. It left a mark on us, on all of humanity for centuries.
You know what's crazy? The text mentions, get this, Egyptian mummies.
Yeah.
From 1145 BC with signs of smallpox. It's mind-blowing. This disease was around for what, millennia?
Oh, absolutely. And it wasn't just some ancient history thing either, right? These outbreaks would just decimate entire populations for our history.
Some with mortality rates, like 30%.
Over.
No wonder people were just desperate for any way to protect themselves.
And that desperation, it led to some wild practices, even way before we had vaccination like we know it today.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, the text talks about variolation. They were doing this in China, India, even parts of Europe.
Variolation, what's that?
Okay, so imagine this. They'd take someone healthy and, on purpose, expose them to, like, stuff from actual smallpox sores.
Wait, seriously, what were they thinking?
The idea was to give them a mild case, you know, and hoping that would then make them immune.
Sounds more like a horror movie than medicine, honestly.
It was risky, for sure, super risky. But that's how terrified people were. Some, they developed full-blown smallpox. Some even died from the procedure itself. And of course, you always had the risk of spreading it even more.
Wow. So variolation basically just shows you how badly people needed any kind of defense against this thing. But then, boom, along comes Edward Jenner, a country doctor from England. He changes everything.
He does.
He noticed, right, that milkmaids, they didn't seem to get smallpox.
Jenner, he was a sharp guy, a really keen observer, and that curiosity, it led him to this massive breakthrough.
So what, he figured out the whole cowpox thing?
Exactly. Milkmaids would get cowpox. It's milder. They got it from the cows. They'd have pustules on their hands, but that was usually it. And Jenner started to think, maybe getting cowpox somehow protected you from smallpox.
And that's what led him to that famous experiment in 1796, right?
Yes.
It's incredible. He takes pus from a cowpox sore on this milkmaid, Sarah Nelms, and then he uses it to inoculate a young boy, James Phipps. Talk about a turning point in history.
Revolutionary stuff for sure, though I gotta say, by today's standards, ethically, there'd be a lot of questions.
No kidding.
So James Phipps gets cowpox, mild case, recovers, and then Jenner, he takes it a step further, exposes him to actual smallpox.
And I bet everyone was shocked when James Phipps didn't get sick.
Right. It proved that being exposed to cowpox could really make you immune to smallpox. Huge game changer. That moment right there, that's the birth of vaccination as we know it.
Vaccine, even the word, comes from the Latin for cow, right? Vaca. All thanks to those milkmaids and Jenner's amazing observation. But I'm guessing not everyone was thrilled with this new vaccine thing.
Oh, no, not at all. Jenner got pushback big time from all sides. Doctors, a lot of them thought it was nonsense, not scientific at all. Then there were the religious objections. Some people believed it was messing with God's will. It's something we still see today, unfortunately.
Wow. Even with all the evidence, there was resistance. What else was feeding that skepticism?
Straight up fear, plain and simple. Imagine these crazy cartoons going around, showing people after vaccination, sprouting cow-like features. I know, we laugh now, but back then, these images really freaked people out, spread all kinds of misinformation, and that held back this life-saving discovery.
Cow horns. Seriously. Crazy how fear and bad information can mess things up. So how did Jenner's discovery finally start to gain traction?
Slowly but surely. Key people played a role. Big names who started to sway public opinion, like take Napoleon Bonaparte.
Napoleon, what did he have to do with it?
He was all for it. He saw how powerful Jenner's vaccine was and ordered, mass vaccinations for his troops in 1805. That got everyone's attention, a major endorsement.
Yeah, having an emperor on your side, that definitely adds some credibility.
For sure. And then you have Thomas Jefferson over in the United States. Huge advocate for science and progress. He championed vaccination. His support helped it gain acceptance in America. So these big endorsements from influential figures, they really started to turn the tide.
It sounds like things were finally looking up for Jenner and his discovery. But we still had a long way to go to actually get rid of smallpox completely.
Oh, absolutely. Jenner laid the groundwork, but eradicating it completely, that was a whole other journey, long and complicated. It took a truly global effort to finally conquer it.
But smallpox, I mean, it was still a huge problem all over the world.
Oh, yeah. Millions were still getting sick, dying from it every year, even with vaccines being available. It was obvious that we needed a new approach, something way more aggressive, systematic, if we were going to actually tackle this thing.
And that's when the World Health Organization, the WHO, they stepped in with a big plan, right?
Exactly. 1967, they launched the Smallpox Eradication Program. This was massive, like nothing before it, total global collaboration, resources, everything.
So what made this program different? Was it just about, like, vaccinating more people?
Well, mass vaccination was key for sure, but it was more than that. This program had a multi-pronged strategy. You had widespread vaccination combined with this brilliant idea, surveillance and containment.
Surveillance and containment.
Yeah, so they'd track down every single case of smallpox, like meticulously,
Wow.
isolate the infected people, then vaccinate everyone they'd been in contact with.
Wow, that sounds seriously complex. So much work. How did they even manage to pull that off on such a huge scale?
It was a huge undertaking, no doubt. Resources, manpower, coordinating everything internationally. It was a ton of work. You had thousands of healthcare workers. They were trained to give the vaccines, track down cases, sometimes going into these really remote, difficult areas.
And they had to deal with political barriers.
Oh, absolutely. And building trust within communities. That was essential to make the program actually work.
It's amazing the ingenuity, the pure determination to overcome all those obstacles. I mean, pulling off such a complicated plan across the globe, that's incredible.
It really is. And it all came down to meticulous planning, dedicated people, and that global commitment to ending smallpox once and for all. And the results, well, they speak for themselves. The number of cases just plummeted. By the late 70s, smallpox was on its way out. Just a few little outbreaks here and there.
It's hard to believe, a disease that was everywhere could be pushed to the brink of extinction.
I know, right?
Do you remember when and where the last case was?
It was in Somalia in 1977. A young cook, Ali Mao Melon, he got it, but luckily recovered thanks to quick medical care. And after that, silence. No more naturally occurring cases anywhere on the planet.
That's incredible. A disease that was around for centuries. It's truly awe-inspiring.
It shows what we can do with science, global cooperation, pure dedication. Officially, smallpox was eradicated in 1980, a huge turning point for us.
It was the first human disease to be completely eradicated, and so far, the only one. A major victory, all thanks to Jenner's initial discovery and that massive global effort.
It's a victory that still inspires us today, informs how we approach other infectious diseases. It shows what's possible when we all work together, use scientific innovation.
So true. Eradicating smallpox wasn't just about getting rid of one disease. It gave us valuable lessons for tackling other global health problems. What are some of the key takeaways we can apply to health crises now and in the future?
Well, first off, it shows how powerful vaccination is, how crucial it is for preventing disease. Vaccines have saved countless lives, and we need to keep developing them, make sure they're used widely for global health.
We've seen how effective they can be, but as we talked about before, there's sometimes resistance, skepticism around vaccines. What can we learn from the past to make sure vaccination efforts are successful?
The smallpox eradication program, it showed how important it is to build trust with the public, address people's concerns through education, open conversations, good communication, getting communities involved. Those are essential to fight misinformation and make people confident about vaccines.
So it's not just about the science. It's about building that trust and understanding, making sure people accept these life-saving interventions.
Exactly. And we can't forget about global collaboration. Eradicating smallpox, it wouldn't have happened without nations working together, sharing resources, expertise, all for a common goal. That kind of cooperation is key for any global health threat.
It's amazing how nations can unite to overcome these huge challenges. Smallpox eradication shows us we can achieve big things when we work together.
Absolutely. But even with this celebration, we got to acknowledge the ethical issues around Jenner's experiment. His discovery revolutionized medicine, but his methods. Today, there'd be serious concerns.
Yeah, giving a young boy cowpox, then exposing him to smallpox on purpose, that wouldn't fly ethically today.
Right. It shows how far we've come in understanding medical ethics. We recognize Jenner's contribution, but we also have to think about the ethical side of his work, how it shapes how we do medical research today.
It reminds us that scientific progress always has to be guided by ethical considerations, especially when it comes to human subjects.
Absolutely. We have to hold ourselves to the highest ethical standards as we keep pushing the boundaries of what we know in medicine and innovation.
This has been an amazing journey, hasn't it? We explore the devastation of smallpox, the brilliance of Jenner's discovery, the incredible global effort to eradicate it.
It's a story that shows human resilience, scientific progress, the power of us working together.
Before we wrap up, there's one more thing I want to mention. The text says, even though smallpox is eradicated, we still see vaccine hesitancy, opposition in some communities.
It's complicated, there's a lot behind it, misinformation, distrust of authorities, personal beliefs. It all plays a role.
So even with the clear success of vaccines, making sure everyone accepts them is still a challenge.
Yeah, it highlights the need to keep educating, keep engaging with communities, address concerns openly and honestly, and build trust in scientific evidence and public health recommendations.
Wow, what a journey it's been. We've gone from, this ancient disease wreaking havoc to Jenner's amazing discovery and then this huge global effort to finally wipe it out.
It's really a story about human resilience, isn't it? About science advancing and the power of working together. It shows what we can accomplish when we all focus on the same goal.
It's incredible. To actually eradicate a disease that was around for centuries makes you think, what else can we overcome? What other challenges that seem impossible, maybe they're not?
It's a great question, and Jenner's legacy, it kind of makes us think about that. If we could beat smallpox, something as tough as that, what other breakthroughs are out there? What other global threats could we maybe possibly get rid of if we put in the same effort, the same smarts, and work together like that?
It's a pretty inspiring thought. So, as we wrap up this whole deep dive, what are the big takeaways we should remember? What lessons from this whole story can we use for the challenges we face today and the ones coming in the future?
Well, I think the biggest thing is it shows how powerful scientific observation and innovation can be. Jenner, he was paying attention. He was willing to explore an idea that seemed, kind of out there and that led to a discovery that changed everything. It reminds us that curiosity and being willing to question what we think we know, that's super important for science to move forward.
And it also shows how crucial it is for people to trust and understand public health stuff.
Hmm.
Without everyone getting on board with vaccination, there's no way we could have gotten rid of smallpox. We saw how misinformation, fear, those things held us back, even when the evidence was clear.
Absolutely. Earning and keeping that public trust in science and what public health experts are saying, it's an ongoing process. It takes clear communication, being transparent, and being willing to actually talk to communities, listen to their worries.
Yeah, we also saw how important global cooperation was. Getting rid of smallpox, it wasn't about individual countries doing their own thing. It was a global commitment to ending a threat that affected everyone.
The success of that WHO program, the Smallpox Eradication Program, it's like a blueprint for how countries can come together to deal with global health problems. It shows how powerful it can be to collaborate, share resources, and be united in wanting to achieve something together.
It really does give you hope for the future, doesn't it? Even with these massive challenges, we see that human ingenuity, working together and not giving up, those things can win.
Totally. Eradicating smallpox, it's a shining example of what we can do when we work together for the good of everyone. It's proof that humans can innovate and that collective action can really change things. It's a story that makes you believe in a healthier, safer future, that it's possible.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of our smallpox deep dive. It's been fascinating, really makes you think. We've gone from those ancient plagues to the amazing achievements of modern medicine. I hope you enjoyed the journey and learned some interesting things along the way. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep believing in the power of humans to create a better future.